The government says 90% of people who are sleeping rough in England have been invited to come indoors during the coronavirus outbreak. That's around 2,000 people who are no longer on the streets and instead are living in other accommodation like hotels. Mike Matthews runs the 4-star Prince Rupert Hotel in Shrewsbury, which is now home to 25 people who were homeless. One of them is Chris Bennett. He's been living there for the past 6 weeks. I've been speaking to both of them, and I asked Mike, the hotel owner, first of all, how this all came about.
We were on the verge of following the government guidelines and hotel down, which we didn't want to do. You know, to close a 70-bedroom hotel down in the middle of a town is quite a complex affair, but it was something that we had no choice on, really. And out of the blue, I had a phone call from Tim Colson of Shropshire Council, who simply asked the question, would you be willing to open your hotel during the coronavirus outbreak and house those people who are most vulnerable? I said, well, look, let's have a cup of tea and let's go through the process and let's have a little chat about it. We met that afternoon along with my team. We then subsequently had a second meeting, and you know something, we just said, let's get on with it. Let's just do it.
And Chris, you are one of the 25 or so residents, good morning to you, who are now staying in the 4-star Prince Rupert Hotel in Shrewsbury. How has your life changed in the past 6 weeks?
It's been brilliant, to be fair, from being 6 weeks ago, not knowing where we were going to be, what we were going to do, to Michael and Charlie letting us into this hotel. It was shocking, to be fair. I thought for that day that we come here, I was waiting for a sleeping bag to be given to me. And then I got brought to the hotel and asked if I wanted a room. So yeah, it was amazing. And from then on, the help we get off them, they go out of their way for us. It's you couldn't ask for more. It's shocking, to be fair.
It was a big ask, Victoria. Looking back now, it seems a long time ago now, but of course it's only 6 weeks, to actually, for the council and the Shrewsbury Arc, to actually reach out to these individuals who, you know, as you know, sleeping on park benches and shop doorways for many, many years, and in some cases decades, and to actually encourage them to leave their natural habitat and to walk into the Prince Rupert Hotel. That in itself it needs being brought to attention, because it's a huge achievement for them to have actually done that.
Yeah, definitely for some, because some of them, they've not been a property for years, so they're not used to it. It's probably a big thing to them. It's new to me. I was only been on the streets in January, so that's all new to me. So for 6 months, well, less than 6 months now, yeah, I was scared for a while, but obviously now we've got a future to look at. And the other lads that were on the streets for so long that have come into the property, they've took to it like duck to waters, which we were surprised at, because some we thought they just want to go back to the streets. There's a couple that do, but no, for the help we've had here and for the homeless, the long-term homeless, they're all doing good. They're all planning the futures.
Yeah, and I'll ask you about your future in a moment, Chris, but I wonder, at the beginning, were you both a little cautious of each other? Did you have to earn each other's trust?
I think, looking back now, I think the first 10 days, you're quite right to flag that up. I think that there was awareness. We had our job to do. We're hoteliers.
More expectations
maybe
than anything from your side. Expectations of what the homeless would be like, and then when you're looking at the homeless, the expectations of people from a 4-star hotel.
Of course.
We didn't expect you to be so down to earth. No, you know, it's like if we walk past the hotel on a normal day, we wouldn't want to go. We wouldn't go in and ask to use the toilet because it's a bit posh. That's how we'd look at it. But then, just so down to earth.
As I was saying, we're hoteliers. So from the point of view of looking after guests, that's what we do. That's our job. And from the very beginning, we took the simple view that we wouldn't differentiate from the normal service and the hospitality that we provide to every single guest that walks through the front door. That same principle would be applied to our new guests. We call them guests. So from point of view, when we have our internal meetings, we talk about our guests like we would talk about our normal guests. Yeah. So there's no difference from that point of view.
And on a day-to-day basis, Mike, I just wonder what is the routine? Is it 3 meals a day? What kind of food are you serving?
It is. Breakfast is a very casual affair. It's cereals and juices and toast and Danish pastries. Lots of them. And food is, I see food in this exercise as a huge factor in rehabilitating these individuals. Throughout the day, we leave snacks. We have a room on the first floor, which is allocated to that's their room that they can all go into, relax in, and to recharge the batteries. Lunch tends to be sandwiches, or hot pizzas, jacket potatoes, and snacks again. And then dinner, we try and give really, really hearty dinners. In between that, we often serve a full afternoon tea, and we go the whole way with afternoon tea, with the scones and cakes and everything else. With dinner, we try and serve the traditional, great English dishes: toad in the hole, great lasagnas, beef stews, casseroles.
Chicken dinners.
And when we do chicken dinners, we make everything from scratch. Everything's fresh. Great roast potatoes, great carrots. Great desserts, crumbles, bread and butter puddings. We've even, and it's a whimsical this a little bit. We've even reached the point now where we're getting complaints about our food. Where one individual came up the other day and said the gravy is a bit thin. Just bear in mind we're taking 2 days to make that gravy using bones and stock. But that to me is an indication that something that they are really enjoying themselves here to actually come up with that sort of comment.
Yeah, and they're feeling comfortable. I want to ask you, Chris, you said you've been living on the street since the start of the year. I wonder if you could just describe for our audience what that was like for you.
Well, on the first day, it was a Sunday, I ended up homeless. I was scared at the time because I had no phone, I had no way contacting anybody. So I was on my own, basically.
It was 2 days before New Year, wasn't it?
2 days before New Year's Day. So basically I'm walking around the streets in a world of lost, didn't know what to do. Didn't know who to speak to. So what can I do with myself? I wanted to jump in the river or something at the time. So a few hours of walking around, and then I bumped into some of the homeless on the street. I asked the question, what do I do to keep warm? So luckily they looked after me, gave me sleeping bags, this, that and the other, and showed me how to survive for a few days. I did get to stay in a hotel for a few days with a friend, but then he finished at that hotel, was back to the streets.
And Victoria, perhaps I can just interrupt here. One of Chris's issues at the time was that he had just come out of hospital with an operation where he had a spider bite, and he had quite a serious infection in his hand. So at the time, his hand was like double the size of the...
Would you say you've become friends?
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say so, yeah.
100%. I think
the world of Michael and all the staff at the Prince Rupert. They're amazing.
Not just with Chris, Victoria, but with all 25, you can't help. We're living in the hotel. Myself, my hotel manager, and my accountant. The three of us are here 24/7, and they have become our extended family during this terrible period. And when you are living with somebody for that duration of time, you can't help but warm to their personalities, their individual characters, and get to know them as people.
There's a wide range of personalities.
Aren't they just?
Mike, I wonder if I could ask you a question where I really want you to be honest. Is it fair to say that in the past you have perhaps walked past homeless people in Shrewsbury, and now you might have a different perspective on people who don't have a roof over their head?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm as guilty, perhaps, as a lot of people that, I leave the hotel and I'm rushing down to have a meeting in town. I will walk past individuals sitting in doorways. Late at night, I work most evenings in the evening. I'll walk through town to leave to go home. Again, I'll walk past them. I was aware of it. I have to be honest that up until this period, I didn't fully understand it. I was not 100% sympathetic to it because I hadn't delved into the subject in any great detail. And I think that's typical of an awful lot of people. The knowledge I have obtained now, and knowing that from, this is obviously a huge issue, and not just a Shrewsbury one, but a social one throughout every town, every city, throughout the UK and internationally. And I know that there is an enormous amount of work going on now. I didn't realize any of this before, going from the very senior positions in government all the way down to the volunteers who deliver food late on a Sunday night to bed and breakfasts and guest houses around the country. So a huge amount of effort is being done to solve this issue. But I think it's a fair point that yes, I hadn't involved myself in the process of how these individuals got there, what was their journey, and when you sit down, which I have done over the last 6 weeks, and discovered how they arrived at this point, you start to realize that look, we all come into this world the same. It's just that some of our paths go off in different angles and different directions, and for a lot of cases, it's just a bad roll of the dice. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, that's very true.
I want to ask Chris, what, once lockdown starts to be modified or eased, what then for you?
I'm not sure. It's obviously trying to plan the future at the moment. Pretty difficult. I've been asked this question a few times. Even the housing team have rang me. What's your plans, Chris? I'm not sure. What's yours? Because we don't know how long it's going to be. Obviously, I've got to look at changing my trades now. I can't be a joiner or roofer because my hands, I can't clench it and I can't open it fully. I can't get what do you call it? Physio at the moment. Right. So I'm not getting any treatment on my hand to make it any better. So I don't honestly know at the moment.
Okay, but does that mean you might have to go back on the streets, or, I mean, what do the council say, Mike, about what might happen at the end of this?
This is what we're not sure about. We don't know whether we're going to get rehoused.
Yeah, they will do. Part of this whole process, Victoria, is that you know, at the end of the day, we essentially started off by providing accommodation and food. There was no remit to provide anything else, but you can't not but get to know these individuals, and you can't not start to understand their predicament, and then you cannot also not stop yourself from trying to help them in the process of rehabilitating themselves back into society. And I know that the council and the Shrewsbury Arc are working very hard behind the scenes to find suitable accommodation, which will be a lot easier because it's you know, a lot of landlords are cautious and careful about taking somebody who has come off the streets. They're not coming off the streets now. Yeah. They're cleaned up, they're tidy, they're nutritionally far better than they were before. They're getting into better physical health as we give them great meals. And so therefore they'll be in a far better position to actually return and have suitable accommodation for them.
It's not only that, it's since everybody's turned up here, 90% that were using drugs have off them. They've gone to see the doctors. They've got on the scripts now to keep them off it, which is a brilliant thing, because if this hadn't have happened, we hadn't have come here, the majority wouldn't have done it. They'd have just stayed on the streets using. So in that respect,
Chris and Mike, I love